right, I'm Chris Avina with American Outdoor News, and today we're here with former Olympian Lanny Barnes. Lanny, thank you so much for coming on.
Chris, it's so exciting to talk to you today. I'm really excited to be on your show. Thank you.
Well, I mean, you have some career here and so much behind it, and what you're doing today, there's so much to talk about. Now,
I've had
you're,
a really fun adventure over the last 42 years now, so really enjoying every moment.
now, biathlons aren't, very common that you pick up in school and say, hey, I'm going to be a biathlete. How do you start to even think about getting into the sport?
First, I think you got to be a little bit crazy, and then second, my twin sister and I kind of fell into it by accident. We were looking for ways of staying in shape for soccer, and hunting was probably our biggest passion. And we ran into a guy that told us about biathlon, and we're like, well, that's as close to hunting on skis as you can get in the Olympics, so let's give it a shot. And we tried it out and absolutely fell in love with it.
Wow. How'd you get into hunting? Who actually brought you into hunting? Is it a family tradition or?
It was, yeah. My poor daddy had three girls, my older sister, my twin sister, and I, and so he didn't have a choice. He had to pass it down to us, and all three of us pretty much fell in love with it at an early age.
How do you train? How do you train to you ski, you shoot? I mean, that's a unique training program you must have been through.
Absolutely, yeah. The training was probably the most grueling part of the doing biathlon. We had 2 weeks off a year, and it was a full-time job for us. A typical day was we'd get up around 4 to 5 and go for a quick 30-minute jog, stretch, eat breakfast, go out for a main workout of the day, which was anywhere from 2 to 4 hours of physical activity, which involved biking, running, skiing, weightlifting, sometimes combined with shooting, sometimes not. Lunch, quick nap, another 2 to 4 hour workout, video sessions in the afternoon, plus shooting, training, and then bed and go to bed and start it all over.
Do it all over again.
Yeah.
I would imagine you have a tremendous leg workout for that type of competition.
Absolutely, yeah, and you actually develop a really incredible upper body as well with the pulling that you do in Nordic skiing. You use a lot of upper body strength as well. So it was kind of a all around fitness that we had to achieve in that sport. So it was a lot of work.
I mean, physically, you're not a big woman. I mean,
No, yeah.
so did that work to your advantage, being that you had less weight to pull as you?
Yes and no. I mean, in any endurance sport, the more weight your body has to physically carry, the more oxygen it has to supply for the muscles and so on and so forth. So being small and agile can make a difference, but carrying that gun around, even though it was only about 8 to 9 pounds, it still added up over the miles and miles that we had to ski.
Now, through all the training and the grueling workouts, I mean, you competed in 2 Olympics, right?
Three, yeah.
3 Olympics. Damn. What kind of experience is that representing your country?
I think it's the greatest experience you can ever have. Being able to put on the U.S. uniform and especially walk out behind the flag at the opening ceremonies. There's no greater honor in my opinion. And I was very fortunate to get a third Olympics because going into the last Olympics, my twin sister and I were heavy favorites to make the team, and there were five women for 4 spots, and I ended up getting sick and wasn't able to complete the trials. And so my twin sister had the best races of her career, and then she turned around and gave her spot to me so that I could go to the third and final Olympics.
Wow, that's family. That's a tight bond.
Yeah, a bond that not many people understand, but twins definitely do.
Yeah, well, I don't have a twin, but I have brothers, so I
Yeah.
kind of understand, but I don't.
Yeah. She essentially gave up her dreams so that I could realize mine. It's pretty amazing.
Now I'm going to go off the rails a little bit on this. representing your country and all, and what an honor it must have been. How does it make you feel when you see today's athletes kneeling or protesting or but still representing our country?
Right. Yeah. It's a challenge. I think that, for someone who has seen, so many things around the world and experienced so many things. I mean, we are so fortunate to live in this country. Um, I usually say the people that are doing those types of things and disrespecting our country and our flag haven't been able to truly appreciate the amazing things that we have here. I mean, I've seen things firsthand in Russia and some of the Eastern Bloc countries where, you know, you would they would do anything to be able to have the same freedoms that we do, and there's a lot of people that take those for granted. And yes, it's their right to protest and do whatever they want, but I think it's one of those things you have to realize how many people fought and died so that we could have those freedoms, and this country is something that we should cherish and represent to the best of our abilities.
I mean, for me as an American, I take it as a slap in the face, but you as a competitor who've actually represented our country, it must hit home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things. It's such an honor to represent your country, and I think you don't represent yourself when you're out there. You represent all Americans, and sometimes you have to put your political differences and beliefs aside and say, I'm here for my country, and my country is the greatest country in the world, and I'm represent that flag and everybody here, and not focus on your own selfish intentions.
What was your most your greatest memory as an Olympian?
I would say, probably walking out behind the flag at the opening ceremonies. When you walk into the stadium, it didn't matter which one it was. It just gives you chills, being in the U.S. uniform and behind the flag, and the whole stadium erupts into chants of USA. And I think it's just one of those moments that I'll never forget. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Well, you had an opportunity that probably a 0.5% of our U.S. population would dream about, and it must have been a tremendous honor. And me as an American, I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you.
Now, let's take a step back to hunting. Where did you grow up? What did what was your hunting season rolled around? What did you go for?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit biased, but I grew up in the greatest place in the world in Durango, Colorado. And I was very fortunate enough to grow up hunting deer, turkeys, elk, bear, grouse, a bunch of small game, fishing, all sorts of things. And being able to run around the mountains and pursue game and do in a way that you could be out there hunting all day or all week and not see another soul. So it was a pretty incredible experience.
Hunting with family and friends, that's a big part of, to me anyway. That's a big part of hunting. Coming back to camp and sharing stories and swapping lies.
Absolutely, that's part of it.
What's your greatest memory as far as taking a trophy in out in the woods?
Oh man, it's hard to pin down just one. There's so many amazing stories that I've had. I probably have more hunting stories that I cherish than I do competing, and I've competed my whole life, and I think it's because hunting is one of my biggest passions, and I love it more than anything. But I would say some of the hunting stories, like one, for example, my twin sister, we tend to not do things easy on ourselves. So we started hiking at 3 a.m. and got way back up into the mountains, and I was a little bit off in my calculation. She made it right out to the where the elk were, right as it was getting light, and she shot a nice bull. And she said, hey Lanny, the elk are just over the hill. Why don't you run over here and you can harvest one as well. And so um, being the dumb athlete that I was, I just started running, and we were probably just between 12 and 13,000 feet. And so I started running. I was maybe a mile and a half away, and I ran hard to get to the elk before they went back into the trees. And I bonked so hard that by the time I got to where the elk are, they had already left, and I had to lay down for probably a good half an hour. I couldn't even lift my leg over a log. And there's a lot of stories like that where we end up pushing ourselves too hard while we're out there, but we enjoy every minute of it.
So you compete against each other as well as uh, whoever's in the field at that point.
Absolutely, yeah, that's part of it.
Now, moving forward, you have a specific skill set. How does that translate into everyday life?
Yeah, so my twin sister and I developed a very specific skill set of being able to shoot with an elevated heart rate and under stress. And when we retired in 2014, we dove into a lot of different things, but we said, this unique skill set, we need to pass on to other people. And we said, okay, well, what groups of people could use this skill set and it could really help them in their everyday lives? And some of the big ones were military and law enforcement. Because they had to deal with those types of things. Obviously, a different level of um,
Pressure.
pressure and you know, uh, adrenaline and things like that, but still the same concepts and things like that. And then civilians, whether it's hunting or competition shooting and things like that. So we just dove right into passing those that skill set and knowledge to as many people as we could.
So now, so you basically set up a consulting where you would consult with military and law enforcement and train them?
Yeah, we train them. We trained all around the country, different law
Wow,
enforcement and military groups, and then civilians as well.
that's pretty exciting. Do you like the travel part, or that kind of wears quickly?
We spent during our Olympic career, which was a little over 15 years, we spent at least 8 months out of the year in Europe, and we're usually in a different country every week. So we kind of got used to the travel. So when we retired and only had to travel around the U.S., it was actually it relieved a little bit of the travel on us, so it wasn't that bad.
How'd you like Europe?
I think we were very fortunate to have competed in a time where Europe was not a lot was going on,
Hmm.
and it was pretty neutral as far as international incidences and activities that was going on. So it was incredible to see all the cultures. Like I said earlier, we definitely saw some things that were very unfortunate. The level of poverty, especially in those cold countries.
Yeah.
People think poverty and they think Africa, but I think Russia, and I think of all the people freezing to death overnight in the same cardboard shacks that they have in Africa, and people just don't think about that kind of thing.
Wow.
Uh, but yeah, we were lucky enough to travel all over Europe and Asia and Scandinavia and Russia, at a time when it wasn't quite so bad as it is now.
What was your favorite cultural experience?
Well, favorite I would say is Italy, just because the northern Italy, the mountains, the people there were amazing too, and the food was incredible. But I would say the cultural experiences that were my favorite were the ones that were so incredibly different from ours. Like we spent a lot of time in Russia, and I don't really need to go back there, but experiencing the culture that they have there and knowing, that they don't really like us that well. It was good to see as an American to be able to appreciate even more what we have here.
I think more people should experience that and be a little bit of an eye opener for them.
Absolutely.
So now, how'd you team up with Prairie Fire?
So Prairie Fire is really exciting, new not new. We took it out of bankruptcy in 2022, but we're building it up into a really exciting outdoor shooting campus, is what we call it. Um, the gentleman that bought it, I had been shooting for the handgun company that he owns, Staccato,
Hmm.
2014. So I had been shooting for that company 2014, and then he bought it, I think, a couple years afterwards, and then they eventually changed it from STI into Staccato. And so he hired me to bring my creative ideas to Prairie Fire. I bring in competitions and experiences and things like that, giving people more or less the opportunities to pursue their dreams in similar ways that I did in my career.
Well, Prairie Fire is more of a campus than a shooting facility. I mean, there's so many facets to Prairie Fire that people don't even realize.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. We don't pride ourselves just on having incredible shooting experiences that you can't get anywhere else in the country. I mean, it goes a lot much further and deeper and beyond that. It's about learning and growing in the education beyond the gun. With leadership skills, with our incredible
Hmm.
leadership team, with General Miller and General O'Neill and our head of training who trained SEAL Team 6 for 17 years and things like that. There's a lot of knowledge and experience that we try to pass on to people and help push them outside their comfort zones so that they can become better versions of themselves.
So there's competitions, there's in-depth training uh, that you wouldn't learn on the street. You got, just the minds behind it. You have Olympians, you have military, you have SEALs. I mean, it's really staggering.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is we want people to, like I said, step outside their comfort zone and challenge themselves to become better versions of themselves, and whether it's competitions or training classes, or we have executive offsites, or we have the Nevada's largest ropes course where people can overcome their fears, and there's a lot of different things that we put into it besides just the training and the shooting. It goes beyond that with psychology and learning how to, take the things that you've learned in your past by overcoming fears and apply them to the things that you're doing on campus to overcome your fears with, handling firearms and say in our ladies classes or anything like that. I mean, there's a lot of unique offerings that we have at Prairie Fire.
Would, as say, somebody just walking into your facility, it is pretty overwhelming.
It's gigantic. Yeah, it's one of those things. We want it to be a destination, regardless of whether you're into shotguns, rifles, handguns. Even not if you're not into firearms, you're just into the outdoors. We want this to be a destination where you can leave having gained some knowledge and experience that we've passed on to you and all the people that you're with. Uh, it's something where we want, if you like hunting, if you like competition, if you just want to have fun with friends, if you want to conceal carry, whatever direction or path you want to go down, we want to offer something and be able to cater to any group that wants to come out and enjoy Prairie Fire.
So, what do you want somebody to take away from uh, the experience of Prairie Fire?
Like I said earlier, just become a better version of themselves and pass on, like Prairie Fire. A lot of people don't know where the name came from, and it comes from a quote from Ronald Reagan where he talks about hope being spread across the country like a prairie fire.
Uh-huh.
And what we want to do at Prairie Fire is offer great experiences and empower people to be better and have them spread that across the country and make everything that they do in their lives and everyone around them enrich their lives with more positive influence, more confident being more confident in themselves, and just coming together as a country.
So what's next for Lanny Barnes?
I think the next thing is, I'm going to continue competitive shooting and try to tackle some more world championship titles. But the most important thing for me is offering people the opportunities that I've had to pursue their dreams, and whatever they may be, whether it's just learning how to shoot for the first time or becoming a world champion. I want to help them do that at Prairie Fire.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, we definitely appreciate your time. And where can we find you?
You can find Prairie Fire at prairiefire.com, and you can also on social media, Prairie Fire Nevada, and you can check me out at Lanny Oakley on all the social media platforms.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.